Retribution, this is your eternal home. We are searching for you. Retribution, this is your eternal home. We are searching for you. We will never let you rest.
Hey guys, welcome to the ultimate FNAF Timeline. I'm Science and I completed this theory on the 25th of July 2018. This timeline is updated to FNAF Ultimate Custom Night, the Fourth Closet, and the Survival Logbook. So if you're watching this when FNAF 7 is out, you're watching a pretty old video. Also, a few things to note. A part of what people believe in the timeline is based off of how they see the books. In today's video, I'm displaying a timeline from the point of view of someone who believes that anything that is done in the books is allowed to be done in the games, meaning that the books aren't completely canon, but as a parallel universe, large sections of them are. If you don't think that the books are canon at all, firstly, don't comment that because I will just ignore it, and secondly, be open to new ideas that you aren't familiar with. That's how I got here in the first place. Okay, let's get straight in.
There are two kinds of theorists. One kind is the kind of viewer or member or whatever who takes all the known facts and only uses those to put together a storyline. And then the other kind is taking those few facts and then you just ad-libbing a lot more, taking more creative freedom to where the story might go.
Yeah.
It's hard to gauge people as how right or how wrong they were whenever a lot of people are obviously adding a lot more of their own imagination.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's the early 1970s, and a mechanic called Henry has opened a diner in Hurricane, Utah, called Fredbear's Family Diner. Inside there is a large show stage that can hold two animatronics. One was called Spring Bonnie, and the other was called Fredbear. These animatronics were a golden colour, and although the two animatronics are always seen on stage, there are spare costumes in the storeroom at the back. The animatronics were clever at the time because they could be used as both suits and animatronics, meaning the workers were able to wear them, however they didn't need to be worn to operate. We see this location in the FNAF 4 End of Night minigames and in FNAF 3's Stage 01 minigame. Henry created these animatronics from scratch, only in his late teens or early 20s, and as the diner began to get more popular, he needed more locations and workers. That's why he made William Afton, a businessman, a co-founder of a new rebranded company called Fazbear Entertainment in 1973. We get 1973 as FNAF 1 takes place in 1993, where Phone Guy says the animatronics have been singing for 20 years without a bath. More on that later. The first location is opened up, being the first pizzeria named under Fazbear Entertainment. Along with the location, the FNAF 2 withered animatronics that aren't yet withered, and the puppet are created. Two golden springlock suits are also moved into this location. These will be moved to the FNAF 2 location later, however we know that at least the puppet was at FNAF 1 location because of FNAF 2's starting cutscene when you're inside of Freddy with the puppet looking at you. The puppet is a security device for children, seeing as the animatronics are made of half metal, so things can go wrong. The withered animatronics aren't withered yet. The only reason they are withered in FNAF 2 is because they were used for spare parts, and with that, a whole chain of pizzerias are created, and the business is running well. Let's quickly talk about the Afton family, because they play a huge role in the timeline, and if this is a story about anyone, it's about William, Mr. Purple Orange Man himself. In the early 1980s, let's say 1982, William Afton has 3 children. Firstly is his eldest child. He is the foxy masked child in FNAF 4, who scares off his younger brother, Michael Afton, who is the crying child and the bite victim in FNAF 4. I say he's the bite victim because the survival logbook basically confirms it. Somebody's talking to him, trying to get his memory back after the bite, saying things like, "Was your favourite childhood toy a blue telephone?" which connects to Michael, as we play as him in FNAF 4, shown by him literally drawing Nightmare Fredbear. Finally, he has a daughter called Elizabeth, a young girl with blonde hair and a red bow. They all have a house together, each with a separate room, and it's the same house we see in the minigames of FNAF 4.
William begins his story with a high and a low. The first big thing that happens is he opens a circus called Circus Baby's Pizza World, and it contains these animatronics. It contains Circus Baby, the star of the show, Billy Babs, Balloon Boy, JJ, DD, and what we know later as Mangle. In the 4th closet, the gang visits Circus Babies and see a mangled version of Funtime Foxy, and with the similar red rosy cheeks, there's no doubt it was probably a part of the circus. Unfortunately, it was told that Baby was only on stage for 1 day. This is because of an incident between Baby and William's daughter, Elizabeth, which ended up in Elizabeth's remnant possessing Baby, with a noticeable change of eye colour from blue to green.
I can make ice cream, although I only did it once. There were 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. Something happened when there was 1. A little girl, standing by herself. I was no longer myself, and I stopped singing. My stomach opened, and there was ice cream. I couldn't move, at least, not until she stepped closer. There was screaming for a moment, but only for a moment. Then other children rushed in again, but they couldn't hear her over the sounds of their own excitement. I still hear her sometimes. Why did that happen?
In shock, William fakes a gas leak to cancel the opening and then sells the company. He sells it to the entrepreneur that we hear at the beginning of Sister Location.
There's no doubting what you've achieved on a technical level. These are clearly state-of-the-art. There are just certain design choices that were made for these robots that we don't fully understand. We were hoping that you could shed some light on those.
She can dance. She can sing. She's equipped with a built-in helium tank for inflating balloons right at her fingertips. She can take song requests. She can even dispense ice cream.
With all due respect, those aren't the design choices we were curious about, Mr. Afton.
With that, William throws all of his regrets and other animatronics he'd been working on with his daughter down beneath the house in an underground lab, where Circus Baby's Rentals and Entertainment will be opened shortly. The Fox animatronic was completely scrapped, and so William threw it in his daughter's room to work better on his inventions. It's 1983 now, and everything begins to fall apart. It all begins when William tries to help out with his company. He wanted to make the animatronics more lifelike, more realistic, and even more automatic. Therefore, he tested out Remnant on animatronics. In real life, when you test out drugs, you can't go straight to a human testing because it's very unethical. First, you have to start with single cells, then animals, and then you can test the drug out on humans. In this case, William used animals Remnant first. He wanted to see how putting Remnant together with the robotics would play out, and it ended up creating a monstrosity of a timeline. He ran over a dog that was outside of his house and encapsulated its remnant, leaving the body dead in the middle of the road. He took the remnant and implanted the mangle with it, and it began to move and become, as he had hoped for, more lifelike. At the same time as he's working with Remnant, his two living kids began to have too much fun. As seen in the Freddy and Foxy anime in Ultimate Custom Night, the Foxy masked brother portrayed by Foxy keeps trapping Michael or Freddy even on his birthday.
バスケットをぶつけたと思うか？彼らはものすごく怒っていて、水に放り投げられると同時に彼らは私のために来る。ひどい匂いも。私が最後に過ごした時、私はそこに沈んだ。私がそこにいる間、私はビジョンを持っていたと思う。私は私の先祖にあった。彼らは生きていた時代がどんなに優れていたのか。そして最近は子供たちが権威を尊重せず、ビデオゲームに明け暮れ、ポテトチップスを食べる様子を教えてくれた。尊敬も規律もなし。私は彼らに不平を言うのをやめるように言った。私は人生において先祖のビジョンを探してきた。そしてついに解決できないと思う。それは自ら呼ぶもの。私はそれを何と呼ぶべきかと思った。なれなければならないと思う。ここのアンタゴニストになるつもりなら、私は少なくとも私の隠れ家の名前を持たなければならない。私は自分の時間と何か関係があるのか？
誰かいないか？私はどうしてもトイレに行かなきゃいけないんだ。
私にはキャラクター開発の余地がなく、私の隠れ家という名は少し物を追加するためにできることのほんの一部だ。だから私は一緒に行った。怒りの道場。それは私にはとても恐ろしく聞こえる。しかし私は何を知っている？私は池に浮かぶのが。
He gets trapped in his room and his brother repeatedly scares him until it happens. The bite of 83, signified by 1983 on the television. Michael gets thrown into the mouth of Fredbear by his very own brother, and now things begin to get a little bit crazy. He gets rushed to hospital and William refuses to keep the brother, so he disowns him, showing direct parallelism to the show The Immortal and the Restless.
Another day, another dramatic entry in the lives of Vlad and his distressed mistress. Where will they go? What will they do? All of that and more happening now.
Clara, I tell you, the baby isn't mine.
Count, I tell you that it is. You're the only vampire I've ever loved. And the baby turns his bottles into powdered milk.
That doesn't mean anything.
He sleeps on the ceiling fan.
Upright or upside down?
What does it matter? You need to be part of your son's life.
I'm an old man, Clara. I can't be a father.
Well, then at least pay your child support, you deadbeat!
Will Vlad and his distressed mistress find common ground? Tune in next time.
as it ends up with William killing Cassidy, taking her remnant and using parts of her dead body to quite literally put Michael back together. But it doesn't work, so he kills and kills and kills more kids at the second Freddy's location, called Junior's, and this is known as the Missing Children's Incident. Let me give you more details. Ultimate Custom Night showed us the Toy Chica cutscene, which to me perfectly portrays the victims of the incident, and furthermore. First up, there was Foxy, who we could see in the bag, meaning she dated Foxy the day before we see the cutscenes. Foxy here represents the dog, who becomes Mangle. The reason I say this is because we never hear Chica's story about him, because it's the day after. Remember, the dog got run over. If Chica just said, "I'm gonna drive my car and crash into him at full speed, then I'll pick him up and he'll think that I saved him," well, that would be downright obvious. Scott would never make it that clear. Next up, as I said, was Golden Freddy. Chica says that she'll ask for help, and then they'll fall in love.
He'll be mine by the end of the day. I just know it. I told him that I needed help with my homework, but once he's there, I'll have him. And once I have him, he'll be mine forever. There is only one thing that could possibly go wrong.
So if we apply that to the real world, William would take the child and ask them for help to get them back to the back room and murder them. And so that's what I think happened to Cassidy after talking to Michael. Next up is Susie, who possesses Chica. We know this because Chica says she will say that she ran over the wolf's dog outside her house.
I told him that someone ran over his dog in front of my house. But once he's there, I'll entice him with warm cookies, lure him inside, invite him inside, and then I'll have him. And once I have him, he'll be mine forever.
And this happens to Susie, as we know from the Fruity Maze minigame. She's crying as she's playing an arcade game because she keeps having visions of her dead dog, the dog that William ran over. And he uses this piece of information to persuade Susie to go with William, where the last seconds of her life would be held. Now, as you viewers may be concerned about right now, yes, I do know that in Ultimate Custom Night, Withered Chica says that she was the first, and that she saw everything, meaning Susie should have been the first to be killed. However, I beg to disagree. If Withered Chica had just said, "I was the first," I'd be alright with her being the first kid to have been murdered. However, she also said that she has seen everything, which is really weird. That extra part makes me think that she wasn't the first killed. The reason is because when you die, surely it doesn't make you see better. If anything, it makes you blind to everything. A loss of every sense. So what I believe she's talking about is later on, when the puppet gives life to her, and she is in the Chica suit. That would make her see better, wouldn't it? More on that later. After Chica comes the other three in a random order. It doesn't really matter, but we know by Toy Chica that they were lured in different ways.
I told him that my house was on fire. But once he's there, I'll tell him that I threw myself on the flames to put them out. He'll be so impressed that he'll fall for me immediately. And once I have him, he'll be mine forever. I told him that I've taken several live hostages at my house. But once he's there, I'll tell him that I let them go because I love him. He'll fall for me immediately. And once I have him, he'll be mine forever. I told him to come over later. That should be enough. And if he doesn't show up, I'll just go to his house. And if he doesn't open the door, I'll just find a window. Chimney's always an option. Or I could set the house on fire and wait for him to run out. Then he could run into my arms.
Finally is the puppet, who we will get to in a few minutes. But first comes a weird transition moment, because Michael is in hospital and his father's gone out to kill 5 kids to try and put him back together. But then how do we get from this moment in hospital to the puppet's death, along with the Midnight Motorist minigame and sister location? Well, it's actually quite simple. In the Toy Chica cutscenes, once she dates and supposedly kills her crushes off, we see parts of each character in her backpack, and to me that symbolises that the body parts we used off of these dead kids to physically put Michael back together. And it works, as he comes out as an android, just like Charlie did in the books. So Michael is made up of his childhood friends, and that brings back the idea of 5 into 1.
Now I will tell you a story. A story about a kind man who would visit 5 orphans and bring them toys and gladness. The man lived alone, and lived in fear that someone might break into the house of one of the 5 children, so he adopted all 5, and brought them together in one place, in his own home. He promised them to never leave them, and they promised to always come home, and never stay out too late. He left one day to buy food, his heart being filled with gladness, but returned to find that the burglar had chosen his home, and killed all 5 of the children. The man could only afford one coffin, so he stitched the 5 bodies together to make one, and buried the child. That night, there was a knock at the door.
Next is the death of the puppet, and it's here where we really do get to see everything. I'm sure you know how she died, but I need to clarify locations a bit. The location she died at was the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. That's why the puppet is there. As I said at the start, in the first location are the Unwithereds, a golden Freddy, golden Bonnie, and a puppet. The reason William killed Charlotte is because it's Henry's daughter. Henry knows what William has done, and so the rivalry between them both begins here. After the murder, William drives away back home as seen in the Later That Night minigame, and this location is the second Freddy Fazbear's location, hence why it's called Junior's. And I just randomly thought this wasn't in the script, but maybe that's where the toy animatronics came from. Wait, no, I don't know, maybe. I'm not too sure about that. The reason that William isn't allowed in the establishment is because it's on lockdown from the missing children incident, and this in turn later closes down all the locations until 1987, but we're getting way too far ahead of ourselves. The thing that happens next is Sister Location. A pretty odd location, but the reason we are down here is to save and put Elizabeth back together again as our sister. Michael takes on the role of going down to Circus Baby's rentals, where William actually experimented with the remnant from the children. He took the remnant, put it in many animatronics, including the Unwithereds in the first location, and therefore not only are the original 4 made up of the 4 children, almost every other animatronic also contains remnant from these 4. Golden Freddy, on the other hand, has one full soul, which is the reason why he is so much more powerful than the others. Therefore, while Michael tries to save Elizabeth, his largest threat are the fun times, as they have small amounts of kids' remnant inside. You still with me? Cue Sister Location, and cue the big ol' scooper, making 5 fun times into 1, and 1 abomination into 1 human.
You won't die. 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 You won't You won't die, you won't die, you won't die. You won't die.
Now you may have noticed that before, instead of keeping William in purple, I coloured him orange, because technically he isn't purple. It just betrays a shadow. However, Michael does become physically purple, and that's why we see this cutscene of Michael becoming purple guy. And why that means Michael looks like his father to the children. And with that, the old animatronics are moved over to a new pizzeria, which took the place of Junior's. The old withered animatronics were used for spare parts for newer versions of these animatronics, the FNAF 1 animatronics. The toy animatronics are the main attraction in the location. The puppet is moved into the prize corner, and then the useless mangle and balloon people were thrown from Circus Baby's Pizza World. Now we're getting somewhere. FNAF 2 happens, and in all honesty, this is the one thing of the entire timeline that doesn't really seem to line up, and that is who we play as in FNAF 2. But if we're only using newer information, then I'm just going to say we play as Michael, seeing as we play as him in literally every other game. He takes the job offer to try and track down William and free the souls of the children, because after Sister Location, he realised what a horrible man he actually is. Cue the FNAF 2 gameplay. Then, of course, comes the bite of 87. We have no idea who got bit, but the reason it's here is to show how all of the pizzerias were once again shut down only a few weeks after the reopening. That's it. After that, the toys are scrapped and Michael was successful. 1993, and the FNAF 1 location reopens again. Michael goes through the nights, phone guy dies, period. End of FNAF 1 gameplay. And after that, boom! Freddy's is shut down forever. That doesn't mean that the killer doesn't return, however. William goes all the way back to the first location, the establishment the puppet died outside of. He returns and attempts to dismantle all of the animatronics, until his plan is flawed. The vengeful spirit rises along with the other spirits, and they force him into the Spring Bonnie suit in the safe room, where it was kept. He gets spring-trapped and becomes Springtrap. It's not until 2023 when they uncover him and throw him into the attraction of Fazbear's Fright, an establishment that was created to display all of the horror from Freddy's, and an establishment that Michael and Henry plan to set fire to and end it all. Henry plays through the nights of FNAF 3 and then ends with it all burning to the ashes, until they find out that firstly the Funtime animatronics and the puppet are still here, and secondly that William actually kinda escaped the fire. After Baby is ejected from Ennard, FNAF 6 happens, where the remaining animatronics are gathered up for one final meeting, and Michael holds them all in one place ready to be burnt and set free.
You played right into our hands. Did you really think that this job just fell out of the sky for you? No. This was a gift for us. You gathered them all together in one place, just like he asked you to. All of those little souls in one place, just for us. A gift. Now we can do what we were created to do, and be complete. I will make you proud, Daddy. Watch, listen, and be full.
Connection terminated. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Elizabeth, if you still even remember that name, but I'm afraid you've been misinformed. You are not here to receive a gift, nor have you been called here by the individual you assume, although you have indeed been called. You have all been called here, into a labyrinth of sounds and smells, misdirection and misfortune. A labyrinth with no exit, a maze with no prize. You don't even realize that you are trapped. Your lust for blood has driven you in endless circles, chasing the cries of children in some unseen chamber, always seeming so near, yet somehow out of reach. But you will never find them. None of you will. this is where your story ends. And to you, my brave volunteer, who somehow found this job listing not intended for you. Although there was a way out planned for you, I have a feeling that's not what you want. I have a feeling that you are right where you want to be. I am remaining as well. I am nearby. This place will not be remembered, and the memory of everything that started this can finally begin to fade away, as the agony of every tragedy should. And to you monsters trapped in the corridors, be still, and give up your spirits. They don't belong to you. For most of you, I believe there is peace, and perhaps more, waiting for you after the smoke clears. Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole, so don't keep the devil waiting, friend. My daughter, if you can hear me, I knew you would return as well. It's in your nature to protect the innocent. I'm sorry that on that day, the day you were shut out and left to die, no one was there to lift you up into their arms, the way you lifted others into yours. And then, what became of you? I should have known you wouldn't be content to disappear. Not my daughter. I couldn't save you then, so let me save you now. It's time to rest, for you, and for those you have carried in your arms. This ends, for all of us, in communication.
Apart from William, who's held in hell by the one you should not have killed. Cassidy, the vengeful spirit, the Golden Freddy. Happiest day minigame occurs, but yes, Golden Freddy's soul is left unrested, and that's when Ultimate Custom Night all happens in hell, until Old Man Consequences or Satan himself advises Golden Freddy to just leave the demons to his demons. But he doesn't. The only way he does is when William does the impossible 50-20 run, and Golden Freddy leaves him alone, with the end of Five Nights at Freddy's